Hey everybody, welcome back to Health is a Luxury with Crystal. I'm Crystal. I believe that health is the ultimate luxury. So if you're interested in leveling up your mental and physical wellness, you have found the right place. Make sure you like this video, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any updates, new videos every Tuesday. So let's get right into it. Video, I want to talk about self-sabotage. You need to get out of your own way. I've experienced this on my 10+ year journey. I've seen how self-sabotage and just really standing in my own way has impacted me negatively over the years as far as my fitness journey is concerned. And so I wanted to delve a little bit more into this topic because I know if you are just getting started on your fitness journey, or if maybe you've been on your journey for a little bit of time, this is probably an issue that you've encountered. So I want to kind of go through some of what it looks like to self-sabotage your fitness journey and hopefully give you guys a little bit of insight on how to get out of your own way moving forward. So one of the ways that I believe people self-sabotage themselves, and I've seen this with myself, with clients, and with friends over the years, is negative self-talk. The way we speak to ourselves is powerful, and the words that we choose to describe how we're feeling take root in ways that we don't even necessarily notice. So the way you speak to yourself on your fitness journey is more important than you know. Negative self-talk is essentially a byproduct of a negative self-image. And that can impact the way you talk to yourself, the way you think about yourself, which subsequently can impact the way that you show up and perform. So this might look like you thinking or telling yourself that you're not capable, that you aren't ready to make a change, that you won't make a change because you tried in the past and you haven't been successful. All of these things are an example of negative self-image or negative self-talk, and these can impact you greatly when it comes to really showing up for yourself on a health or fitness journey. So the way I want you to kind of combat your negative self-talk going forward is when you notice yourself making negative comments about yourself. So maybe you put on something that doesn't fit right and you're just like, oh, I look so fat today. Maybe you can reframe that by saying something like, I can't wait until I'm able to fit this the way I want to fit it. Or I'm looking forward to how I'm going to look the next time I put this dress on in a couple of months. There are ways to still be honest with yourself, but also reframe the way you're speaking to yourself so that you're not creating this negative kind of self-image and just reiterating some of those insecurities that you might already have. So negative self-talk is going to take a very conscious effort because more often than not, we've been talking to ourselves in this way for longer than we've realized. Sometimes it comes from the way our parents or maybe peers spoke to us and those words kind of started to take root. Or it can be from developing a negative self-image on our own, just by not really showing ourselves love and grace throughout the ebbs and flows of life. So I really want you to take a second when you find yourself saying something negative, when you're like, I don't look good in this, or I shouldn't do this, or I can't do this. So whenever you notice that you are speaking to yourself in a negative or unproductive way, I want you to take a second, take a deep breath. And I want you to think about how you can reframe that sentence or that statement so that it is something more beneficial to your journey, something that feeds where you're going as opposed to where you've been, and kind of keep track of how you feel after you start to be conscious about changing those moments. Now, it won't happen overnight. If you're like any of us who have gone through maybe a weight loss journey, maybe we grew up the chubbier kid, whatever it is, it's not going to happen overnight that you're going to be able to just speak to yourself with this just ray of sunshine. But it is something that will get better with practice and with being consistent. So try to really combat that negative self-talk so you're not continuing to put yourself down when you really should be your biggest cheerleader on this journey. Because one thing I want you to know is that even if you've made the choice to start thinking about making better choices, you are farther ahead than you realize. So make sure that you are being your biggest cheerleader instead of your biggest critic, because you'll need yourself to be able to be graceful during the process. So another way that we sabotage ourselves or stand in our own way when it comes to making progress on our health or fitness journey is by lacking faith in the process. And that lends itself to not applying yourself in the process. So this could look like quitting too soon, meaning you've been consistent for 2 weeks and for whatever reason you thought you were going to see these massive results. Now that you don't see them, you're ready to quit. That is a way that you are lacking faith in the process and you are not applying to yourself. It can also look like setting really vague goals or intentions with the gym or any type of healthy activities or healthy habits. So instead of saying, I'm going to be intentional and go to the gym 3 days a week at this time for this amount of time, you might say something like, I'm going to go to the gym more. And so that's lacking faith in the process. That is not applying yourself, because if we know anything in life, in order for us to be great, successful, or good at it, we have to be willing to be intentional with it. And that is especially important when it comes to a health and fitness journey, because you have to be thinking ahead about the decisions that you're making and how they're going to impact your goals. So if you're setting very vague goals, I invite you to research what SMART goals are. I've talked about them a couple of times on my channel. SMART goals are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And so by setting a goal, like I said, as opposed to being like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym more, you would say, I'm going to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. and I'm going to work out for 45 to 60 minutes. That is a much better goal to work with than I'm just going to go to the gym more. Because what is more? Do you know what more is? Is more just more than not going at all? Or is more going at a very consistent rate for this amount of time so that you're seeing results? So not being intentional in that way is essentially not applying ourselves. And so that is a way that we are standing in our own way and sabotaging our progress on our health or fitness journey. So another part of not applying yourself is not making changes to your environment. And what I mean by this could mean in the kitchen, meaning that you have not gotten rid of foods or things that you know are going to hold you back. Now, I definitely understand if you have a family at home and these are foods that they enjoy or that you are comfortable with them eating. But when it comes to being intentional for yourself on your journey, you have to be willing to create an environment that is conducive to your goals. So maybe you can't throw out all of the potato chips and all of the snacks, but maybe you can make sure that your snack cabinet looks totally different than the rest of the house's. So if you're going to embark on this journey, having faith in the process and trusting that each day that you put effort in, that you are going to get a result at the end, you will be so much farther ahead than making flimsy commitments like I said, going to the gym more or quitting too soon and not even giving yourself a chance to show up. These are ways that you really do stand in your own way and sabotage yourself on your journey. When it comes to making changes to your environment, this could look like I said, making changes in the kitchen. You're getting rid of foods that are unhealthy, or you're making sure you have access to foods that are healthier. It could look like maybe not hanging out with a friend that peer pressures you into getting ice cream after you guys hang out, knowing that that is something that is not going to help you on your goals. It can look a lot of different ways depending on which environmental factors are impacting your progress now, or looking at what environmental factors are responsible for you perhaps getting to the point where you are now that has you wanting to make a change. So by being honest with yourself when it comes to changing those environmental factors and being transparent about their impact on your progress, you are setting yourself up for major success. I promise you, it is so hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It is something that can be very challenging because this is our environment. This is a space where we've likely grown and feel comfortable. But if we're looking to see some major changes in our bodies or our health or our fitness journeys, then we have to be willing to make some major changes. So the last way I want to explore in this video of how we stand in our own way and self-sabotage ourselves on our fitness and health journeys is by playing the comparison game. Now, you could be comparing yourself to a fitness creator, to somebody at your gym, to a friend or family member, or you could even be comparing yourself to a former version of yourself. So I was very, very guilty of this, especially in the past year or two, because I was so used to being able to operate at a different level without the responsibilities that I have now. It was very, very hard for me to give this version of myself grace. I felt like I was still supposed to be operating at 110%, not even realizing that I have so much more on my plate than I did then. And that's not to say it's an excuse for not showing up, and so maybe my progress looks a little different with more on my plate. But it's important that I keep it all in perspective and understand that I'm still giving my 100%, even if that's a new version of my 100% than it was back then. So make sure that you are not only not comparing yourself to others, but you are not looking at a version of you that lived a totally different life than you do now and wondering why you aren't where you were then, or even talking to yourself like you've done it before, you should be there. And when I talk about my fitness journey, I think that's why it's so important for me to mention the mental transformation I made, because I can always draw on the strength that I had at that point, but I'm never looking at myself like I need to be that same size. For one, my metabolism is slower than it was then. My body is different than it was then. And so I can't sit in this space of comparison with the version of myself that no longer exists and judging myself based on who that person was or what that person's life looked like. So make sure that you are not getting stuck in a state of comparison, looking around at everybody else and judging your own journey based off of their successes, only because you really just don't know. And it's not to say that it has to be something bad all the time, but it is to say that that is a possibility. And so why would you sit with yourself and judge yourself based on the unknown? I think it's just very important that we look at who we are today, what we have to offer today, what our capacity is today, and create our plans based on what that person needs right now. Instead of focusing on who we were 5 or even 10 years ago and trying to get back to that point. Because news flash, life happens, aging happens, and we have to be open and accepting of the process of our bodies transforming naturally. We just have to give ourselves some grace that way. So that is another way you could be self-sabotaging yourself on your journey. And I really encourage you to take a few minutes and kind of think about these things that we talked about. Am I talking to myself negatively? Am I speaking to myself as if I'm not capable of doing what it is I'm trying to do or seeing the results that I see for myself? And take a second with those answers. You might have some hesitation when you try to answer those questions, and that could be a sign that you need to dig a little deeper and maybe find some grace for yourself throughout your journey. So another thing that we talked about is lacking faith in the process and therefore not applying ourselves. So we have to look at our journeys as our choice and our choice alone. So if I have sat here and I've decided I'm going to embark on a fitness journey, I want to change my health, I want to see a transformation in my body, I've made this declaration, but I'm not willing to trust the process by meeting the process at the door to just get started or even stay a little bit consistent, then why I need to take a minute with what I'm really trying to do here. Am I doing this because I feel like I should? Am I doing this because somebody else is doing it? Or am I really interested in making changes? Maybe I'm a little scared. Maybe you're a little nervous. It happens. But I think these are necessary questions that we have to be able to answer for ourselves in order to really see the progress that we're looking for on our journeys. So take a second with that lack of faith. Like, do I really believe I can do this? And if I do, what am I willing to overcome? What mindsets am I willing to challenge? What overall transformation am I willing to facilitate inside and out in order to reach these goals? And once you sat down with those questions, I guarantee a little bit of clarity goes a long way. You'd be surprised at how much more committed you are to your journey going forward. The last way we talked about is playing that comparison game. I want you to really take a moment. And I think a lot of the tips that I share on my channel, but especially in this video, require slowing down just a little bit. Just take a breath with what you are feeling, with what you are thinking. Dissect the source, dissect the intention, and from there figure out what changes you can make to really get to a place of peace with yourself and your journey. The comparison game is dangerous, nasty, swift business. And I really do implore you to find a positive way to engage with other creators or to even, like I said, draw that inspiration without it being at the cost of your self-esteem or your confidence in yourself as far as your journey is concerned. Because that is definitely not the way we want to view other creators. There's nothing wrong with seeing someone and being like, wow, they have a great physique. I'm very interested in reaching that level one day. And it's a total other thing to look at yourself and say, I'm not capable of that. You're capable. As long as you believe you're capable, because that is what's going to drive your efforts forward. Take a second with yourself, take a moment to breathe and slow down and really sit with yourself on your journey and figure out where maybe you might be standing in your own way, because you deserve the results of your best efforts. And you deserve to see exactly who you could be if you really applied yourself and did something different where your health was concerned. So thank you guys so much for watching. I am so appreciative of this community that we are building. I love that you guys tune in and you interact with me in the comments. So make sure if you like this video or got anything from it, you comment below so that we can keep the conversation going. Make sure you share this video with somebody that you think could benefit from it, somebody in your life that maybe you guys have touched on this topic and you think this could be a helpful video. Make sure to send it to them as a way to encourage them to get out of their own way and stop self-sabotaging themselves on their journey. So I invite you to connect with me on Instagram. I post a lot on there. Catch me on TikTok for my outfits and fashion inspo, and subscribe to my channel so you can catch the next one. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.